Good morning, everybody. Did all my friends survive yesterday? Because yesterday was a anxious, stressful, sad day. I mean, on one hand, it was sad, but on the other hand, I don't know what's the word. What's the word? Gannon finally got his justice. I'm just hoping that now I cried a lot too, Sarah. I cried a lot. He got his justice, and I just hope that here on out his family is left alone and they can get some sort of normalcy. Hello, Radio Gaga, bittersweet. Kelly says relief. Sarah, the judge cried. How could you not? How could you not? Yeah. Yep, the judge was crying. That's for sure. I was crying. You know me, I'm a big ball baby. That is for sure. Mama Kay said justice is the word. Yes. That in a nutshell. Got justice. Rindy said, I just completely was a puddle when you played Amazing Grace afterwards, Brooks. Well, that's the word. Without the grace of God, Gannon wouldn't have been found in that suitcase. And we had people holding out on the jury. They were holding out for insanity. And that's the only thing that kept going through my head was that song. When I heard the verdict, I was like, whew. NC said, me too. I was bawling. Me too. Well, we're going to go from bawling to super pissed off, super weirded out, super creeped out, because this case is maddening. Maddening. Now, I know several people have reached out to me and they're like, hey, Brooks, are you going to go down there and take some pictures and meet people? No. No way. In Oklahoma, we make the news for a few things: tornadoes, football, and shit like this. And this circle is not anything that I am going to mix with. You see, because Jesse knows a lot of people. He didn't bump into Holly at the local Brahms and scoop her up and marry her. Seems old Mogi County just wanted to call it a murder-suicide and walk away. Thank God for the OSBI that said it doesn't work that way. You don't have 7 dead bodies and a pedophile and close it. It doesn't work that way. Now then, over the weekend, several people went into the house of horrors. There's the house right there. And collected evidence. Word to the wise, no matter what the owner of the property says, let's just stay away from crime scenes, shall we? According to the owner, he was going to start going through the house and putting stuff in dumpsters, so whatever you want, come get. Doesn't work that way. I'd rather the stuff be in dumpsters for the OSBI to go through than to have to go track it down other ways. So how this all started was last week. This came across my phone. This came across a lot of people in Oklahoma's phone, and it's an alert I don't remember ever seeing before. Emergency alert extreme, it said. Missing endangered Ivy Webster and Brittany Brewer. And I saw that and I'm like, emergency alert extreme. Normally it's got a tag number, last seen with. I've never seen this before. And then it went away. Well, I know why it went away. We all know why it went away. This is another alert that they had out. Now, we didn't know about the other people involved until later in the day. Here are the victims: Holly Guess, Michael Mayo, Riley Allen, Tiffany Guess, Ivy Webster, and Brittany Brewer. Ivy and Brittany were friends with Tiffany. I assumed this was a new friendship. The parents were just trusting and said, yeah, go to sleepover with your friend's house. I didn't realize that they had been friends for some time. Not real happy about this situation. Not really happy about this situation at all. My husband was going through Henrietta yesterday, and he said Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation, their mobile command center was by the Taco Bueno. I about fell out of my chair. I said, all right, let's keep doing it. Let's keep doing it. But no, trust me, someone like Jesse has contacts, and he's contacted other kids. More things have come out just in the last 24 hours that are going to knock your socks off. Was Okmulgee County planning on investigating this? What was going on with the leadership? Because that house should have been locked down, and there should have been a deputy there at all times to make sure no one got in there. Someone else from his ring, a family member, you name it. It's private property anyway. They found more phones, toddler clothing, clothes with blood on them, drug paraphernalia, which I can't put up here. There's way more to this story. Way more to this story. All right, so there's Jesse. That's him. Now, let me show you. We went through this last week. On the screen is his record. This was faster to find than the nearest Sonic. Hello, Kiki. Obtaining cash or merchandise by bogus check. All right, big deal. Everybody's bounced a check. I think that might be a different Jesse. Soliciting sexual conduct, communication with minor by use of technology. That'd be our boy right there. And he did that while he was in jail. I don't make the laws. I don't work for corrections, but my opinion is he should not have been let out of jail because he obviously didn't learn his lesson, as he was still trying to contact minors while he was in the pokey. Then we see his marriage license to Holly Guess. This was May 25th of 2022. 2003, grand larceny. Also in 2003, the big R word, first degree by force and fear. What he did to that woman was heinous. Heinous. He served 85% of his sentence and he got out, which that is common in any state. They get 20 years and they get out for good behavior. I don't know what you would call good behavior, because it's not good behavior, because someone got a cell phone to him and he was using it behind bars to contact a 16-year-old. Really? They dropped the ball big time on this. Dropped the ball big time. So he gets out of jail. This is still hanging over his head. He knows he's going to have to answer this at some point. He meets Holly, and it's just total bliss. Total bliss. My understanding is they had been communicating from behind bars like prison pen pals. So that's sick in itself. And we've heard of these women before. So they get married last year. And she has children. Now, her mother has been very vocal, saying that she was wooed by his charms, that he hired an actress to convince her that all of these things that the state of Oklahoma claims he did, he didn't do. And there's this, exactly, angelic darkness. He messaged the victim, his newest victim, well, second to the newest. He messaged the victim the night before he was going to court about Monday. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. So over the weekend, and this should have never, ever, ever happened, because I don't care what the owner says. The owner of the house doesn't get a vote. The police have to finish their investigation. But it happened. It happened. So they went into the house. And things like this were found. Anybody got one of these hanging around the house? Nope. This was taken from a bedroom. This was laying in plain sight. This is something that you could use on a horse and it would still feel it. You're telling me that Holly, his wife, didn't know what was going on? She didn't happen to notice any of these things? She didn't happen to notice this by the bed? Look next to the mattress. Anybody got one of those by your bed? Look at that. Could you imagine? You go to move your mattress, you're flipping the mattress, changing the sheets or whatever, and you see this? No, she knew it was there. She damn sure knew this was hanging around. I clenched looking at this picture. Good God, who could take that? I believe Holly was in on it. That's just my opinion. Holly can't sue me, and I don't think the grandmother would try. But I believe she was in on this. I do. Let me get to the comments and we're going to get to the show, and I'm going to put the link up because I want to hear everybody. I want to hear what you all have to say. I want to get my glasses on, and here we go. Amanda Hudson said, "Oh my God, heads need to roll. Complete incompetence. This just happened. How could they not seal the house? It could have evidence. It does have evidence. You can't tell me there is not something sickening on all of those computer towers." Since then, we have found more phones, of course, the drug paraphernalia, and that makes people come unglued when you say that. They can't stand that. Don't bring that into it. Well, somebody in the house was doing drugs. I'm not talking Tylenol 3. And there wasn't a person in that house that didn't see all these things because it's not hidden. These things are in plain sight. Leadership was definitely required here, but you never know because the people in Okmulgee County could have just dismissed the OSBI. They really truly could have. It's happened before. No, we're going to take care of it. Don't worry about it. We got it under control. That's the reason they had to bring their mobile command centers down there saying, no, you don't. No, you don't. But I agree 100% with Amanda. Strip it down to the bare bones because that house should have never been left unattended. We don't go into crime scenes. I don't care what the owner says. And I'm not picking on the family. I'm not picking on anybody that went on in there. This is on law enforcement. They should have locked that house down. Jules said, no way. Wifey didn't know what he was up to. I just don't see it. I hope OSBI figures this tragedy out. Families need healing and closure eventually. She had to have known. She knew him before he got out of jail. Did the actress tell her that she put him in jail as well? You have to have evidence. You have to have a probable cause. You have to have a lot of things to take someone's freedom. She knew. Of course she knew. Good morning, Glenjamin. Heavenly Bliss said, this makes me so sick. The justice system is cruel. I'm very overprotective of my child. You just have to do research. I just showed you his record. If you can spell correctly, it's going to pop right up. I can get his record faster than I can check the movie schedule at the IMAX. No one thought to do that, even though they all say he was weird. Heavenly Bliss said, the justice system is cruel. I'm very overprotective of my child. You just have to do research. But most of all, overnights and letting your child hang out over at a friend's house is out the window in this century. And here on out, people are crazy. She says, extreme alert? F that. I'd be looking for my child the same night, particularly if you know where your child went. They knew about this slumber party. They were supposed to go down to McAllister to swim, and they didn't show up. So odds are, if they didn't show up to swim, they would still be at the house. Heavenly Bliss went on to say, I'm tired of crying about these stories. And let me tell you, I don't want anyone going, oh my gosh, I can't let my kids be around their friends or anything. No, you're the parents. You do your due diligence. I know you all do. In this case, they didn't. But Jesse can't be around anyone. Even his new buddies in hell are shunning him by now, okay? He can't be around women, dogs. He can't be around dogs, kids. Hell, he can't be trusted with the phone. Jesse was a horrible, horrible person. He is a horrible person. Glenjamin said, you better check as a parent, though. Absolutely. Absolutely. And of course, we want our kids to socialize and have friends and everything like that. But when the writing's on the wall, obviously, the parents never went in the house because they would have seen all of this. Pat K, thank you. Pat K is gifting Crime Lines and Lies memberships. It's a very open floor plan. We're going to look at it in a second. Obviously, the drug paraphernalia would make you scratch your head for sure. That'd be strike one, no bueno. But if you see that bad boy laying around, you're going to realize something really depraved is going on around there. Okay? Tiffany said something kept them going back over and over. And there's this, Rendy. Even background checks aren't always going to be indicative of a person's ability to harm a child. Now, this is very true. And I know a lot of people are screaming about, well, he was an RSO. Why was no one checking on him? You see, criminals don't follow the law. So while Jesse knew he was not supposed to be around kids, and Holly knew it, criminals don't care. So the house was rented to Holly. I don't know what address Jesse used. So when you have someone that has 50 RSOs assigned to them, let's say their region is Central Oklahoma. So you know you've got 50 of them to keep up with. You go knock on Jesse's door. Well, Jesse's not home right now. I'll check back tomorrow. Eventually, you're going to find Jesse at that address, and then you check it off and you move along. And what sucks is that RSOs have rights. Believe it or not. This was discussed in several other cases. But no, you're exactly right, Randy. Wolfcat said he looks like a sicko. He does. The whole thing is maddening. It is maddening. Now, this came out on Twitter yesterday. Has reported that Oklahoma medical examiner went back to Jesse's property by one of the ponds. An excavator was also seen leaving the property. You see, they want to just call it an M/S. Shut the books and be done with it. But there's way more going on. There's way more going on. Thank you, Bama Skin. Thank you for the super sticker. Said they better be looking at missing females in the area and their victimology today. Now, according to KJRH in Tulsa, Jesse was registered. He is a registered SO. I cannot find it. But, I mean, maybe they took it down. I don't know. Hang on. Angel said, what about the kids' clothes on the flooring? Yeah. What about the toddler clothing? Holly didn't have a toddler. Why was there blood on anyone's clothing in that house? And I don't mean from the crime scene. Sunset said it's been said elsewhere, the landlord is a bad guy. Look the other way, perhaps involved in all of that too. And I would agree 100%. He was also getting kind of a crazy amount of rent for that area. So one would say he didn't care as long as he gets his money, and he just walked the other way. Yeah. And he wanted this to go away with the quickness because look what he said. Get what you want out of the house because I'm going to start cleaning this house out over the weekend. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Gina? Today is Gina's birthday, everybody. Let's take a second. Let's tell our friend Gina happy birthday. Happy birthday, Gina, and many, many more. We're going to be doing our members live for May birthdays in a couple of weeks. Hell, I might as well just get it done this week because, you know, I've messed up the last couple of months. March birthdays were done in April. April birthdays were done in May. I'll get it together. All right, let's look at this. And this just came out yesterday. This is from KJRH in Tulsa. It speaks for itself, but I'm going to stop and we're going to talk about it as we go through. Nucky said in here they weren't killed in the house. I didn't mean they were killed in the house. I'm saying that the bloody clothing that was found had nothing to do with the murders. I apologize. I didn't mean to be confusing to anyone.
For Ivy Webster's family says that the OSBI was out here with dive teams, and they also had boats with sonar devices looking into at least one of the ponds on the property. After nearly a third day here at the scene, they left about 1 o'clock this afternoon. A nearby resident told me someone had been unusually digging and expanding this pond about 6 months ago and worked on it for a month. The county also brought in an excavator, and the medical examiner was on the property as well.
Now, I wonder who wanted to expand the pond 6 months ago, which, by the way, is not uncommon or unusual in Oklahoma. Someone has a pond on their property. Hang on, Jeannie. We had a problem last week. I think you have it on your other account, Jeannie, the one where you have the membership. So it's not unusual for anyone to expand a pond. It's not uncommon. But, in this situation, it seems a little eerie.
This after the OSBI has taken lead of the case. There's been public confusion over who was in charge in the first place. 2 News was told it was the District 25 task force made up of multiple agencies and the DA's office. The Okmulgee County Sheriff's Office.
Okay, I want to talk about the task force in Okmulgee County. And I can't say too much. Let me find it. Give me a second. Now, let me tell you, I asked several people who live in the community to come on the show today, to come on panel. Super, super nice people. Super nice people. And every one of them said, no way. Not until this dust settles, because these people are horrible. One comment said, I'm dead ass serious about these guys. They don't play. They've been that way for 20 plus years. Jeannie, last week, you weren't in chat. And several people, I had to come in and say, if you lost your wrench, tell me, and I'll go back through and reassign them. Because we had a lot of YouTube problems. Jules lost hers. Gaelic lost hers. I don't even know who else. And it took me forever to reassign them. Ava says, I don't blame them. I don't either. She says, even before the task force was started, and most have kids on this task force now, since they have retired, but the vibe is still all bad, if you know what I mean. Then she told me some different places to go read. So no, I do not blame these people at all for not wanting to talk about what's going on in their town, particularly with what's going on. Because when the OSBI comes in and says, no bueno, you're not doing anything that is required in a situation like this. And we need to know why. We need to know what's going on.
Office held the first press conference Monday. By Wednesday, questions were passed to Okmulgee City Police. By Friday, calls were handled by the district attorney, and by Saturday, the OSBI. So who was leading the case? We went and searched for answers.
So you will not answer any questions about the investigative process?
Okmulgee County Sheriff Eddie Rice told me I was part of causing the confusion, but didn't elaborate why, and still only referred me to the OSBI.
That's what I want to know. How is Erin Christie? She used to be our news anchor years ago, and she came back. How is she the confusion? He's the confusion. He's the sheriff. He's supposed to be rounding all this up with the assistance of the OSBI and FBI. But they screwed the pooch.
FBI.
Could you talk to us on the investigative process before it was turned over to OSBI?
The Okmulgee Police Department referred me to the DA's office.
Hi, Chief Prentice.
I left a second message for the district attorney. The OSBI would only say they're investigating.
So there's absolutely no questions that the public can receive about this case.
This one is a head scratcher.
So we talked with Dave Walker, former lead homicide detective for Tulsa Police. Although not involved in this case, from his perspective, it seems lack of clear leadership has been a major problem.
You got to be in charge of everything or you're not in charge of anything.
Walker says he's used task forces, but was surprised it was used in this case.
Confuses me that there would be a task force working on this just because it was so rapidly evolving.
Walker says there's no excuse for not investigating, even with a suspect dead. He chalks it up to lack of experience. He says it's not uncommon for investigators to release a crime scene and tape it off again, but it is potentially damaging. Last week, victims' family members went inside the house and uncovered multiple cell phones, computers, and other crucial evidence left behind by investigators. When I was here on Friday, one of the victims' family members told me inside this house, they found a ledger with a list of names and ages on it. The last names on the list were the family and 2 teenage girls who were killed here last week.
We're going to have to listen to that part again because my face about fell off. Cal said they could have been grooming. Yeah, I believe so. I believe so. Now, my understanding is that the handwriting from the notebook where the kids' names have been written down was Holly's handwriting. I understand the grandma, Holly's mom, being brokenhearted. I understand the aunt talking, being defensive of her niece. But with the information that just has been coming out, I think they need to dial it back. Y'all's daughter said, what, a ledger? Yeah, let's listen to that again. Glenjamin said, that list creeps me out. Me too.
Behind by investigators. When I was here on Friday, one of the victims' family members told me inside this house, they found a ledger with a list of names and ages on it. The last names on the list were the family and 2 teenage girls who were killed here last week.
So the last names on the list were the family and the 2 girls. Now, when they say family, from what I'm understanding, and bear with me because this case is going really fast. There's a lot coming out at once. Holly's name was not on the list, but it's in Holly's handwriting. Okay? Michael was on the list. Riley was on the list. Tiffany was on the list. Ivy was on the list. Brittany was on the list. And there's other names, but they were the last ones on the list. Connie said Holly knew. Holly knew. It's an, I'm just going to say it. It's an essay list. It's the nicest way to say it. I don't know another way to say it. I mean, you have kids at the house and, like I said, you have things like this out in plain sight. Maybe drugs were given. Maybe alcohol. I've heard a lot of stories. Jamie said trophy list. That's a good way to put it. That's a good way to put it. And someone's going to have to come to the realization, instead of going on Beigefield saying she just fell for his charms, they're going to have to wake up and realize Holly was a predator as well. That's the reason I don't really say she's a victim. Yes, she was murdered. That's 100%. So she's definitely a murder victim. But she helped him. She helped him. And I got a lot of hate after the last show last week. Look, let's just be real here. These things are not going to stop and they're not going to change if we stick our head in the sand and say, oh, it's okay that they didn't check his record. You don't need to check the sex offender list. You can already see he was in jail for rape from 2003 to 2017. Do you really need more than that? He also had pending charges. Call a spade a spade. Then, like I said, you go to the house, which obviously none of the parents had ever been to the house, because you see things like this. Anybody got one of these hanging around the house with a list of kids written in a ledger? Nope. Anybody got this just laying out in the kitchen with a list of kids handwritten on a ledger? Nope. What about one of these by your bed with a list of kids handwritten on a ledger? No, you don't. No, you don't. In plain sight. This is not some locked away room that only Jesse and Holly had access to. This is all over the house. All over the house. This is one of the only cases I can say that the drug paraphernalia is the least of it. And there was a lot. There was a lot of that.
Outside Henrietta, I'm Erin Christie, 2 News, Oklahoma.
My God. Jamie said, like, why would Ellie not want to investigate this? Well, because I believe there's a ring there and there's people being protected for whatever reason. Because you don't have a crime of this magnitude and just say it was just a M/S and we can't arrest anybody because the one that did it, he's in hell now. So that's all we can do. No. Because there's going to be information besides what's written in the notebook, the ledger, whatever you want to call it. There's going to be information on all those computer towers. People don't have all of those electronics sitting around in Oklahoma unless they plan on building a weather station. Thank you, Carol. Carol's gift and membership. Speaking of weather, get your umbrella. It's raining memberships. Nuh-uh. Nuh-uh. There's more people involved, and if what I'm hearing is correct, when these names start coming out, it's going to get very concerning for Okmulgee County. Radio Gaga said the hooks on the wall and the chains should sound the alarm, you think? Yeah. Yeah. That's not something you see every day. At all. Horrible. It is absolutely horrible. So to get just a little bit of a sense before we go back to the house of what Jesse is capable of, or what he was till he got to hell. This was his victim in 2003.
She was the victim in the rape case that Jesse McFadden was convicted of in 2003.
Now, we usually don't identify victims of sexual assault, but in this case, she said she wanted to talk. So we have 4029's Paul Petit sharing her story. Paul.
Yeah, guys, Crystal Strong told me her wounds are being torn open. She says she's both heartbroken for the victims and livid because McFadden was released from prison early.
I'm scared and sick to my stomach.
Crystal Strong is reliving a nightmare. She said she was 16 years old when Jesse McFadden raped her.
After I was tied up and everything, he did hold a knife, sort of like a pocket knife or a switchblade knife, to my throat.
Now 39 years old, Strong says it has been a slow, painful recovery.
He did a lot. I was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. I've never really been able to have a normal relationship.
McFadden was convicted of first-degree rape in 2003.
This woman breaks my heart. She breaks my heart. It's hard not to choke up listening to her. She doesn't make any of this about herself, okay? And I've seen some hateful comments about her, and I want to just jump through the computer. I just want to jump through the computer when I see people saying she's clout chasing. People are out of their damn minds. Her first interview, I heard her, she said, "Don't worry about me. My trauma's been dealt with." She's more concerned about other victims out there.
Sentenced to 20 years in an Oklahoma prison. He served 17. In a letter to the judge, McFadden wrote, "I'd like to get out and prove that I have changed and I'm a better person."
I remember just sobbing on my couch, and my daughter had come home, and I said, "I think they're going to let Jesse out of prison even after all this." And she's like, "Mom, it's okay." And I said, "No, it's not okay. He's going to do it again. They can't let him out."
McFadden was a registered sex offender.
I don't understand how he was able to attend all of the kids' games, their functions, and go to all the things at the Henrietta School. Like, why were you able to do any of that?
Strong believes McFadden should have been in custody for child pornography charges he faced while still behind bars for rape. Then she learned this week of the murders in Oklahoma. 5 of them were teenagers.
I had to pull over, and I was just sobbing because it's just so sad. The whole thing just sucks. Like, really, it just sucks. Like, I'm sorry for those families.
McFadden was scheduled to be in court Monday for the charges filed when he was still behind bars. And Strong says she was never notified when McFadden was released from prison. Paul Petit, 4029 News.
I do want to move to Oklahoma now, where we are learning more disturbing details surrounding a.
Okay, I'll get back to that. Joneson said something about on burden of proof. What was it? Is this about the candy? Because there's a lot coming out all at once. I mean, all at once. Chica said he should have never been released. No, he should not. Hello, Brittany J. They need to look into all of Holly's connections. Every damn one of them. You are so right. I wouldn't leave one stone unturned because not trying to be too presumptive here, but I have a sneaking suspicion there's quite a few victims out there. And I don't think all of them made it to the list. When a ball is dropped in the Department of Corrections, it's a huge one. Huge. Chica said Holly is just as disgusting as her husband. You said it. And I mean, I feel bad for her mom. I do. I feel bad for her family. I do. But they're going to have to realize she was in on this. Jones and said, how do we know Holly wasn't into some sadistic shit? She could have been. We just don't know. Well, I mean, I think she was because I'm looking at the house. She lived there too. If my husband put this in the floor, I'd be like, what's up? Did you buy an elephant that we got to keep on a leash? What's going on? Oh, I don't see an elephant around here. So you're a sick ass. Bye. If this was behind my bed, I'd be like, oh my gosh, what's going on here? Are you making me a hammock, but you just put it right on the floor instead of way up? Oh, no hammock? Bye. If I saw this in my kitchen, I'll be like, I got nothing to say about that. I got nothing to say about that one. No. No. What could you even say? She's not blind. I've heard a lot of things about Holly that she fell for his charms. But she's not blind. Nucky said that isn't even their room. That's Tiffany's room. Can we make it any worse? Can we make it any worse? Thank you, Nucky. My God. All right, let's get to the house. Let's go through it. Of course, we have beige filled on the screen. She doesn't even know what to make of all of this. She's coming unglued. And anybody in Oklahoma would go past this house and it's just a normal house. Normal rural house. You wouldn't think anything was going on.
They're about to take you on a tour through this home, and it is very, very uncomfortable, but you will learn a lot about this Jesse McFadden and what he may have done before killing those kids and his wife. Take a look.
Phone or phone case with like the screen ghost face on the back. Okay. I don't know. I don't know the answer. I don't care about it. Yeah, those are Tiffany skates. Run the familiar line.
Okay, so we saw the picture of that. Let's go back to this. All right, this is a lot of electronics. Welcome, Hot Mess. This is a lot of electronics. And some people do have a lot. They have a lot of computers. That's all right. That's all right.